What's good, everyone? This is FH the Melungeon and the place to be. And today, we're going to discuss how each of the more common ancestries associated with Melungeon heritage came into the equation. Now, I'm going to provide an overview of my specific Melungeon ancestry groups, which I'm certain many of you Melungeons share as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Sephardic Jews. This is a group of people from the Iberian Peninsula who are also known as Atlantic Creoles, who were persecuted from Iberia due to their religious beliefs, following the widespread resurgence of Catholicism. Many Sephardic Jews ended up migrating to North Africa, while others seek refuge on the shores of the American Southeast. Historians also believe the Sephardic Jews to be a part of the lost colony of Roanoke, and from there, they have intermingled with the Angolans, Cherokees, Powhatans, Lumbee, and Creek, among others. Between the 1500s to the 1800s, many Romani were brought to the United States as indentured servants, particularly to the states of Virginia, Georgia, New Jersey, and Louisiana. Many Romani were enslaved in the same plantations as enslaved Africans and Native Americans. The Fulani first came into the equation as Moorish translators, brought to the Americas in order to communicate with Algic language-speaking Native American tribes, to subsequent enslaved Moorish populations brought over by Spanish conquistadors in 1526. Some were even brought over via the more rampant slave trade that took place between 1619 to 1850, coming from present-day nations such as Burkina Faso, Guinea, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Nigeria, and Cameroon. Angola. People of Bakongo and Mbundu descent from present-day Angola were brought to every coastal state as far north as New York to as far south as Georgia, most of whom were brought to Virginia in particular. Many historians speculate that the term Melungeon comes from the Mbundu term Malangu. Many Angolans have orchestrated and participated in the Stono Rebellion, which took place in South Carolina in 1739, where Angolans have succeeded and subsequently set out into the wilderness on their own, many of whom intermingled with formerly indentured English and Irish folks and the surrounding Native American tribes within the vicinity. Yoruba. According to Chris Lisakis, the owner and operator of NativeDNA.com, the Yoruba component can be found in Melungeon DNA. Enslaved Yorubans were brought to the Americas during the Atlantic slave trade, mostly between 1750 and 1826, to the states of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. Many of the Yorubans became freedmen, particularly from Louisa County, Virginia, and migrated over to present-day Hancock County, Tennessee, and you can only imagine what occurred from there. Scotch-Irish. Many settlers from Scotland, particularly the Highlands of Scotland, Ireland, and Northern Ireland, settled in the Cumberland Gap region of Appalachia, many of whom settled in the Powell River and Clinch River watershed regions. The settlers' initial attitude towards the Melungeon people was filled with animosity, but who really knows what formulated as a result of subsequent interactions between the two groups? Because studies have eventually shown that Melungeons today do possess Scotch-Irish ancestry, meaning over the course of time, many of the descendants of Scots-Irish settlers did learn to coexist and have started families with the Melungeon people. The Creek people. The Porch Creek Indians of today are considered Melungeon by default, just like the Lumbee people. The only difference being is that the Lumbee possess more of a Melungeon component in their DNA than the Porch Creek people. Historians speculate that what makes Porch Creek people more Melungeon is the fact that many of their ancestors intermarried with the Scots and Irish traders throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. And there have been some interaction with black freedmen before the Trail of Tears took place, explaining why you have members of the Porch Creek Indian tribe today who are black. The Iberians. The Spanish and Portuguese component in the Melungeon DNA is speculated to be predicated on the presence of Spanish conquistadors in the Carolinas and Virginia, as well as Portuguese explorers who settled in Georgia and the Carolinas before the formation of Jamestown, Virginia. They may have also been descended from Roanoke Island's lost colony in 1587 as a result of being shipwrecked. Many of these people whom have intermingled with the Powhatan Indians in the vicinity. Some 200 years later, many Melungeons who were at risk of being quote-unquote re-enslaved had to identify themselves as Portuguese as a way to circumvent being enslaved. And last but not least, the Ottoman Turks and the Ottoman Egyptians. At one point in history, the Ottoman Turks have invaded Egypt during the spread of the Ottoman Empire. However, during the Ottoman era, a group of Turkish Egyptians have immigrated to a community in Sumter County, South Carolina, called Dalzell back in the 18th century. While many have decided to stay behind in South Carolina, others have migrated northwards towards Robeson County, North Carolina, to intermingle with the Lumbee people, further explaining why many Lumbee people who have taken DNA tests wind up with Turkish and Egyptian results, and also explaining why the Lumbee and the Sumter Turkish community share mutual surnames such as Oxendine, Locklear, and Chavis.